Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. On this Friday, means we're brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Working towards the weekend. Hope the work week is in the rearview mirror. If not, we'll get you to the finish line here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. And lots of sports to talk about over the next 2 hours. LSU is, let's do some math, 3 hours and 30 minutes away from opening its SEC baseball journey with Missouri. We'll certainly break that down here very, very shortly. LSU football back out on the practice field this morning. I was there. I'll talk about that. We'll actually break it down with Preston Guy of TigerBait.com coming up in the next segment. There is basketball being played all over the place. Yesterday was just an incredible day of college basketball. I'm bummed out LSU's not a part of any of it, but it was an incredible day. Plus, we got to talk about the SEC baseball weekend afoot because it's going to be very, very interesting to watch. And the Saints have made a lot of moves over the last week. And candidly, I haven't been here for 3 of the days, and I haven't had to react to any of this. So we're going to do that really in totality later on in the show today. So lots and lots and lots to do. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on the Hunt Palmer Show. We'll start today the same way we start every day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's opening drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Let's talk baseball. LSU and Missouri, 4:30 first pitch from the box. You cannot have a hand-delivered better opener for your SEC slate than what LSU has been given by the league office here. There are 15 teams in this league that are high-resource programs, high-achieving programs, talented clubs, high-dollar coaches, College World Series aspirations, and then there's Missouri. It is inarguable. There are 15 schools doing it one way and one school doing it this way. And that's what Missouri is. Now, LSU did not sweep Omaha 2 weeks ago. So you don't know what the outcome of a 3-game weekend is going to be. My opinion is that LSU is going to sweep this weekend, and my opinion is that Missouri's not going to win 7 league games. I think Missouri's atrocious by SEC standards. That's my feeling on this team. They have done nothing in the pre-conference to dissuade me from that feeling. They have not won a single pre-conference weekend. Have not won more than they've lost on a single pre-conference weekend. They went down to Puerto Rico, got smoked by Penn State 10-0, lost a game to Stetson in that weekend. Then you think, okay, well, they can go to the Jackie Robinson, play some SWAC and MEAC schools, beat up on them, kind of get right, a little confidence. Wrong. You're talking about a team that in that weekend beats Florida A&M 6-5. Florida A&M, not very good. And then Florida A&M, by the way, was run-ruled by Southern the next day after Missouri beat them by 1. And then you played Alabama State and got crushed 10-2. I mean, just not really competitive with Alabama State. Yeah, you beat Southern that weekend, but okay, great. You couldn't win a 4-game set with Evansville. You couldn't win a 4-game set with Binghamton. This team is, by SEC standards, bad. And that's all there is to it. Now, LSU's got to go out there and play. But if they execute, meaning they throw strikes, they catch the baseball, and you stay within your plan offensively, LSU won't have any trouble this weekend. Now, I say that, and you realize the Omaha weekend, you had a game where you popped up 17 times and then hit batters on back-to-back pitches in front of a 3-run homer, and that's how you lose a game to Omaha. It happens in baseball all the time. This Missouri program 2 years ago swept Tennessee on the opening weekend. That was the year after Tennessee had fielded the best college baseball team I've ever seen. Okay? That's a Tennessee team that played LSU twice in Omaha later that calendar year. And Missouri swept them. Things happen in baseball. But it would be disingenuous on my part to sugarcoat what Missouri has done this point to you, the listener. It's awful. Let's put statistics on it. Everyone in the SEC has essentially played reasonably the same schedule. Most teams have challenged themselves with one weekend, whether it's in Puerto Rico or Arlington or Round Rock or Frisco or Tampa or Jacksonville. You go out to Arizona, which is where Vanderbilt went. Like, everyone's done that once, and then you've kind of played some teams you ought to handle. So, no, everything's not apples to apples when you look at statistics, but this is loud. Missouri is 11th in the conference in batting average at .301. They're 14th in the conference in homers with 17, only 2 teams with fewer. They're 14th in doubles with 27, 2 teams or fewer. They do steal a lot of bases. They're 4th in the league in steals. And they're 1st in the SEC in one offensive category. 1st in one category. Sacrifice bunts. So, to me, as I look at that, like, catching defense is important this weekend. If a team's going to put down bunts and try to steal when they get on base, you need to play well behind the home plate. And that's why Luis Hernandez, I think, is going to catch all 3 games this weekend. That's a big key to this weekend. Missouri's probably not going to come in here and hit 6 home runs over 3 days. What they want to do is try to get on base early in innings, put bunts down, put some pressure on the defense, make you make plays. And LSU has struggled with that a little bit. The pitchers have made some throwing errors for sure. And at catcher, you've had some issues. Now, Luis Hernandez has been the best of your catchers. I think he's got to be the catcher this weekend. But that's Missouri offensively. So how's the run prevention when you combine the pitching and the defense? Well, they're the worst fielding team in the league, 16th. They're the worst team ERA in the league, 16th. You realize those are 2 independent things. You start kicking it around, it doesn't affect your ERA because they're not earned runs. They're worse at both of those. Worst defense, worst ERA. They allow the most doubles in the league. They allow the most hits in the league. And they're 14th in the league in striking out hitters. It's awful. This is a silver platter for LSU. Essentially, what the league office is saying to you is, hey, I know last year wasn't a lot of fun. We sent you to Starkville. Your first couple home weekends were really difficult. We had to send you to Knoxville. You went to Fayetteville. You played Florida. You played Vanderbilt. That was tough. We apologize for that. Here's Missouri at the box. Have at it. That's essentially what you're hearing here. Now, as far as LSU goes, because we've dissected Missouri all I can dissect them. I could go into Ian Lowe's, the starting pitcher today. I could talk about Will Libbert, Caden Drew. I could talk about all that. They're starting 3 left-handers this weekend. But essentially what we've got to talk about here is what LSU does. Because if LSU takes care of LSU's business over 3 games this weekend, I don't know if it'll be 2 on Sunday, late game on Saturday, whatever the weather presents, there'll be 3 games. If LSU takes care of LSU's business in 3 games this weekend, it'll be a 3-game sweep. It'll be fine. But you've got to go play. And Jay Johnson's got decisions on his hands, okay? So you're going to see 3 left-handed starters this weekend, Loesch, Libbert, and Drew. How do you handle that? Because Josh Pearson is white hot. He's swinging a bat exceptionally well, hitting for power, drawing walks, getting on base. He's awesome. So is he going to play? Okay. Well, Jake Brown is sniffing 400 at this point. Is he going to play? Because Ethan Fry is crushing left-handed pitching when he DHs as a right-handed bat. You can only play 2 of those 3 guys. Are you going to stick with Pearson and Fry and leave Brown on the bench? Are you going to sit a scalding hot Pearson? Are you going to tell Ethan Fry? You got to decide. But these 3 pitchers from Missouri are fairly similar. Loesch is a guy you'll see today. His strikeout numbers are pretty good, 26 of them. 4 walks, but you're talking about a guy who's given up 20 hits in 19 1/3 innings. His ERA is 5.12. I watched some of him yesterday. Last week, y'all may have seen this tweet that I sent out because Missouri, in their just relentless effort to not try at anything baseball related, spelled Binghamton's name wrong on their scorebug when they played Binghamton on Friday of last week. But I watched Loesch's start. I watched 3 innings of him. And it's not an overwhelming fastball. He does have a pretty good changeup. He'll spin the breaking ball a little bit. It's a kind of a high 3/4 arm slot. It's just really average 6 foot, 195-pound senior left-hander stuff. But Libbert will go on Saturday, talking about a guy there that's given up 21 base runners in 13 innings against bad teams. Drew's no different. 20 hits in 21 innings. He's only got 15 strikeouts in the 21 innings against bad teams. Like, this is what it is. They don't hit it well. They don't pitch it well. They don't catch it well. It's up to LSU to throw it over the plate, which has been an issue at times, catch the baseball, which hasn't really been an issue, and then offensively just do what you've been doing. LSU has been sizzling since that game I'm talking about against Omaha where they popped up 17 times and lost the game. Really, all LSU needs is for me not to be on the call. When I'm on the call, they're 0-1. When I'm not on the call, they're undefeated. I'm not on the call this weekend, so you should be excited about that. Since that game where they were awful against Omaha, came back in the second leg of that doubleheader, swung it much better, and it's been off to the races since. They went to Dallas, played great against DBU, did well enough. None of the arms you'll see from Missouri are as good as the starting arm you saw against Kansas State or Nebraska. So while a lot of teams in SEC play, Tennessee, Florida, Ole Miss, like there are a lot of teams in SEC play, and I'll go through the schedule coming up. Tennessee and Florida are playing each other. Ole Miss is playing Arkansas. South Carolina's playing Oklahoma. Like there are some interesting weekends. Alabama's going to College Station. A lot of those teams are going to go from really poor competition they've been playing against and really have to step up. And like in Florida and Tennessee's case, they both have to elevate. In LSU's case, you don't really have to elevate. Missouri will. You're seeing something similar to what you've seen previously. Missouri has shown itself not to be significantly better than Binghamton, not to be significantly better than Evansville, not to be significantly better than the SWAC teams and the MEAC teams they played in Florida, not to be better than the teams they played in the Puerto Rico Classic with Penn State, with Stetson. They're not significantly better than those teams. That's kind of what LSU's been playing. LSU will not have to step up in class this weekend. Everybody else kind of does. So here's the deal. You have to go take care of your business. I'm not clamoring that it's a disaster if you don't sweep. It's a real problem if you lose 2 games. You win 2, you feel like you maybe let one slip, but it's okay. You get 3, man, have you really done yourself a service as far as the math goes. LSU worked against the math for 6 weeks last year. Put the math in your favor to start SEC play against the worst team in the league. The one team in the league that refuses to try to win at baseball. I'm not saying it's easy, but you got to build a stadium. Got to spend some money on a coaching staff. And Missouri's just not going to do it. So here they are. Wipe them off the field this weekend. That is LSU's chore this weekend. That's your Genesis opening drive. Every car that is on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. LSU back out on the practice field today. It was a little foggy, had the music bumping. Preston Guy from TigerBait.com was there. We'll talk to him about it coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Some great, great perks that come with being a Genesis driver. How about a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty? 10 years, 100,000 miles. How about 3 years of complimentary maintenance? Better yet, 3 years of valet complimentary maintenance. No one likes to sit on the service aisle. Now, the service aisle at Genesis of Baton Rouge is the cleanest service aisle I have ever seen. I've been to a lot of service aisles in my time as an insurance broker. I was working with car dealerships. Some, not great. Genesis of Baton Rouge, incredibly clean. But still, no one loves to sit around all day and wait for your car to get dealt with. So why don't you get valet? They come to you, leave you a loaner, take your car back, handle the maintenance, bring it back to you. For the first 3 years, complimentary. That's just part of being a Genesis driver. If you haven't explored Genesis as an option for you in the market for a new vehicle, just do it. It's on Airline Highway at Pico across from Women's Hospital. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find them online, genesisofbatonrouge.com, genesisofbatonrouge.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You work hard every day to pursue a life you love. You put in the time, and it shows. You're forging ahead, chasing a dream, creating something better for the ones you love. You're building your own life. So why not build your own tractor? With John Deere tractors and attachments for almost any need, the Sunshine team can help you do just that. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Friday shows brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. It's a Lenten Friday. Looking for a late lunch? Swing on by Corks, Government between Foster and Jefferson. Get you that shrimp po' boy, shrimp platter, catfish platter. All there for you from our friends over at Corks. Check out the menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. Preston Guy, tigerbait.com, with us every Friday. Saw him out at practice this morning. A little bit different temperature than it is in August out there. Quite pleasant at 8 o'clock in the morning out on the Ponderosa. No, Preston?
It was nice. I was a little afraid when we rolled up it was going to be foggy and we couldn't see anything. But really, as soon as the Tigers came storming out, the fog kind of rolled back, and it was nice. Just real nice of you. I know as early as you're waking up, real nice of you to stay up late with us like that.
It's more of a stay up for me. I'm on the midnight rotation right now. My wife's got 3 a.m., so I'm on the midnight, so I stay up, and then I get to sleep a little bit. But yeah, easy to get out there. How do you feel about our vantage point from the balcony up there for practice?
I don't like it. Maybe you can complain to your higher ups. Now, I understand they built that. Probably strategically speaking, they don't want to get things that I want to get. But, on especially days like today where they're not scrimmaging, right, and there's no defense, they're throwing against air and doing individual drills and stuff, I love being on the ground where I can see details. Like, how is this coach coaching? What are the details he's telling? You can kind of see a little finer details, like how quickly did this guy hit the dummy, or how physically, intimidating does this player look? All those little microcosms of details that you get from days like that. We're not really able to get too much of that, but, it's still, I appreciate them giving us access because, 2 coaches ago, you'd be lucky to get one during his era,
Yeah, no question about that. So as far as what you're looking for, I mean, I could ask direct questions, but I'll let you kind of lead the conversation here. What caught your eye or has caught your eye this week?
Well, what's caught my eye is who they're choosing for the unit. I mean, you look at their first-team unit, it is all returning players, right? And for many of that's to the dismay of the fans. I think a lot of fans are upset to see things like DJ Chester as your starting center still. I think a lot of people wanted to see Braylon Moore there and see him scoot out, but you're seeing that across the board. Barry Brown hasn't been getting a ton of first-team reps, although we did see a video today of Nussmeier throwing to Barry Brown for a touchdown LSU put out. But it's been the returning guys. I think they're going to ease in these transfers and newcomers slowly, and they're going to say, look, the guys who have been here have earned it, and you haven't. You got to come out and earn it. So I think that if you've been in football locker rooms and you know how big a deal respect and earning respect is, I think that there's a lot of football guys who can respect that mentality, even if it's pretty obvious, like, okay, the transfer guy is going to end up being the starter. He's clearly the better player. I think that there's a lot of football guys who respect the whole, well, this guy's earned it and he has a mentality that they're clearly applying early on.
How do you think they're going to handle the reps at offensive line? Do you expect DJ Chester to move out to guard over the next couple of weeks? I mean, what do you see as the plan this spring?
I would be I would guess that come Monday or whatever their next first practices next week is, I would expect that that's where they'll kind of look over a little bit of film and they'll start making some rearrangements of the depth chart. I would be a little surprised if they pulled the trigger on that tomorrow when we went out for practice, but I think a lot of moves like that, they're going to start rotating guys into the first team and start building that chemistry. It's probably starting next week.
You're looking at Trey'Dez Green running with the ones when they kind of do that dry offense, and Bauer Sharp slides in there as well. How do you feel about that rotation at tight end and what they're going to ask those two guys to do?
Yeah, I think that's a really good rotation, especially they're using Trey'Dez Green a lot to split outside, which is going to create matchup issues. I mean, you got to think about who do you cover a wide out Trey'Dez Green with? Are you putting a linebacker on him with all that open space and, expecting him to be able to hold up with him? Do you put a nickelback corner who's 5'10" on him? You're probably going to have to go with, something similar to, a safety of some sort just to be able to cover that. And that means you're committing a safety to what is essentially a traditional slot receiver. So love that. And I love Bauer Sharp because, he brings a more traditional tight end blocking type ability. But I think they're both absolutely good enough to command reps in this offense. I don't think it's going to be like what Mason Taylor was doing last year where, 80% of the reps and 90% of the production was going to him, right? I think they're going to rotate it out, keep them fresh, and use their skill sets to their advantage. I love that.
Have you noticed any true freshmen out there?
Oh boy, true freshmen. Pickett is hard not to notice. I mean, he moves very quick. He's probably a little thinner in person than we were expecting, but I mean, he's always been a bit thin. But he moves well. I think that's of the true freshmen, that's the one guy I continue to circle on my radar is like, will he be a starter? It very possibly could be, but I think I think any kind of declarations of the defensive backfield thus far, based on media access at least, is a little premature to make because it's mostly been just individual drills, a lot of hip flips, that kind of stuff. But all I can tell you is he moves very fluidly from what I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, the defensive backs haven't really done anything since we've been out there, but he does look thin. I thought the opposite of Damian Shanklin, who I saw working out with the edge players today, and that's a lot of really old guys. Jack Pyburn's really old. Jamari Butler's really old. They've got some old players, and he fits in with those guys. He doesn't look any different, and that stood out to me.
Yeah.
Do you think he's got a chance to play, or is it just a deal where he's got a lot of guys in front of him and he's got a year to season?
Hunt, I'm wondering if your edge rushers are going to be your most impressive unit come this fall. I mean, they look good out there. You didn't even mention Patrick Payton, who I saw him today, and I was like, he's a little slender. What's his weight listed at? Oh, 255, and then you see, oh, wait, he's 6'5". Okay, all right. So he is a lean, built guy, not much fat on him at all. So, I mean, you talk about Pyburn, you talk about Patrick Payton, Butler, all these guys. And I didn't even mention Relaford, who's looked really good out there. I mean, he really quick and fast and seems to know what he's doing. And then you start talking about that, and it's like, well, how do you see other guys really getting a chance? How many edge rushers can they possibly use? Because I think you've got 6 guys who could play and give you good reps. That doesn't even touch on guys like Dylan Carpenter, who this is kind of the year to find out, is he, looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane, or is he going to be a player for you? He's giving you some good reps in garbage time, but a lot of eyes. It's just a lot of good bodies at that edge position. You got to give Peoples his credit for what he's built there.
Any thoughts on Michael Van Buren throwing it around out there?
Yeah, not too many. I'll say this. He's definitely small. But he's polished, especially when you look at Jawan Johnson, then rotate in. First off, first thing you notice, Jawan Johnson's a lot bigger than Michael Van Buren, right? I mean, and not just in height, but like he's heavier. He's more built out. He actually doesn't really look like a defensive back taking reps at quarterback. Like he's a stout guy. He's got some meat on him. He could take a hit. That's the first thing. But in terms of how polished he is playing the position, Van Buren way more polished, way more clean. Today, instead of splitting second team reps, they rolled with a skeleton crew at third team offense because they didn't have a full 15 offensive linemen, I suppose. But they rolled with that and gave Jawan Johnson and gave Michael Van Buren all the second team reps to himself. So I think that's a good second team quarterback, possibly heir apparent to Nussmeier next year. We'll see, although we are in an era where, you can look up and get a lot of money and basically pull in as good a quarterback as you can find in the portal every year. So it's never a true heir apparent situation, but, it definitely sharp out there.
Last one here, Preston. We appreciate some time here on this Friday. I was looking out at the punt returners today, and you saw Xavier Thomas, you saw Aaron Anderson, you saw Barry and Brown out there catching punts, and I was like, that looks good.
Yeah, no, well, I'd say for the first time in a long time, you feel really good about your punt returner, kick returner situation. Hopefully Aaron Anderson can get a little more sure-handed. Look, I know Xavier Thomas didn't break one last year, but there was a lot of plays that looked really promising, and Aaron Anderson, of course, did break one. I like those two. If Barry and Brown can contribute anything to that role, all of a sudden you've got a real deep punt returner core. And look, I am a huge proponent of depth, Hunt. I think great teams are deep teams, and one thing you'll notice throughout the season, almost every team has some hiccups. Sometimes Jordan Jefferson gets into a bar fight, and you just look around and say, oh, yeah, I guess this fifth-year senior backup quarterback guy can kind of handle the load for 8 games or whatever. That's why depth matters so much on a football team. Just things happen throughout the year. So it's always funny. You mention weird things like that, but those are the kind of spots where it's like depth matters. Maybe Xavier, tweaks his hand and he's not, fielding punts as well. Well, we've got this guy Berrien who's been doing a good job. I love seeing depth like that.
Mentioned the 11 team. Tyron had to miss a game. They sent Ron Brooks out there. He returned an interception for a touchdown.
Hold up. Case study on that 2011 team. I mean, the third string fullback was J.C. Copeland, and he was a beast. I love situations like that where you're just an abundance of crazy talent in weird spots, but it pays off.
Spring practice reports, certainly video recaps as well, all at tigerbait.com. Preston's good enough to give us a little bit of time on his Fridays. Have a good weekend, man.
All right, Hunt. Congrats on the kid.
Thank you so much. He is a Preston guy. LSU beat right over at tigerbait.com. Good to see him out there on the Ponderosa today. I guess we get access tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. We got a lot to get to here on this Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. When we come back, let's transition away from LSU football. Let's talk about the New Orleans Saints and what they have done. I've got some thoughts on a lot of the free agent activity that we've seen over the last 7 days. We'll get to that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. Jonathan Carbo and his team, just phenomenal to work with. They pride themselves on expertise within insurance policies. In the insurance world, you got these long policies with a lot of different amendments and a lot of different exclusions, and it can be complicated. And if you don't do it for a living, you can miss some things. And the worst thing you can do is pay a significant amount for your insurance, miss an exclusion, then have an incident happen and not have coverage. So then you have to pay for the policy with the premium and you're not covered for the loss. Don't let that happen. If you're a little bit uncomfortable with what may or may not be in your insurance policy, just have the guys at the Highland Insurance Group take a look at it. Just call Jonathan Carbon's team, say, hey, I've got this insurance. I think it's a reasonable deal, but I'm not really sure what it says. Can y'all help? They can help. They'll audit it. They'll give you the information, what's good, what's not good, and if you need to make some changes, let them be the ones to make those changes. The Highland Insurance Group. Find them online at highlandig.com. Highland Insurance Group, highlandig.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. It's a Lenten Friday. If you've already eaten lunch today, but are thinking about how you can change it up on those Lenten Fridays, Corks can do that for you. Just check this out. I know that seafood platters are great, and that's generally what a lot of folks will eat on Lenten Fridays. But how about the baked potato with the crawfish etouffee over the top of it and jumbo golden Gulf shrimp right on the top of that? Awesome, awesome stuff there. Baked potatoes, same ones they serve over there at Kuyon's across the river, are phenomenal. Top it with that crawfish etouffee and the fried shrimp. Good, good stuff over there at Corks. Check out the menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. If you're tailgating, feeding the youth baseball team, getting ready to have family reunion for Easter time coming up in a few weeks, and you want a big catering order, Corks can always help you with that as well. Go by and see him on Government Between Foster and Jefferson, corksfishandshrimp.com. All right, free agency is on and running in the NFL, and the New Orleans Saints promised they would be active, and they have been active. Now, at this point, y'all know my feelings on where the Saints are as an organization, and really, it's the same feeling that everyone I've seen that covers the team feels, but the Saints don't feel it. The Saints just keep on rocking and rolling. And I was hopeful, based on last year's free agent lack of activity, that the Saints were entering a new phase in their organizational growth where they were going to decide, we're going to pull back, we're not going to spend quite as much money, we're going to let some of these older contracts come off the books, and then we'll be a little bit more aggressive when we have a better team and a less expensive team. And they haven't gone nuts this offseason. Let's not mischaracterize it. They have not gone nuts. They've just been a little bit more active than I thought they would be. And so I think it's time now, after I was kind of gone for a week, to assess what I've seen. We're not going to go over every single signing, but the ones that have caught local headlines, we'll go ahead and get to those. The baseline of what I'm looking for here is, does this signing first have the ability to help the next really good Saints team? And second, does this signing potentially hinder the Saints' ability to better the next good team? That makes sense? Like, it's either going to help or this could be something that really hurts. Both of those things are what you're looking for, one on the positive side, one on the negative side. Chase Young, they signed to a 3-year deal up to $57 million. This, I think, is great because Chase Young, although the sacks were not there this year, you look at all the other metrics, the pass rush win rate, the QB pressures, those types of things, he was an effective player. Not a dominant player, not a statistically overwhelming player, but an effective player who is 25 years old at a premium position, and you're getting him for up to $57 million, less than $20 million a year, for a position you've got to have if you're going to be good. So I'm good with the signing of Chase Young. It's not absurdly expensive. It's not near what Myles Garrett's getting, not near what Trey Hendrickson's going to get. And you're not getting that kind of production, so it makes sense. But I'm okay with the Chase Young signing because he's 25 years old. He's got a chance to be on the next really good Saints team. You sign Isaac Yiadom to a 3-year deal. Now, he's 29, so I don't love this deal. However, it's hard for me to jump up and down and rant and rave over a 3-year, $9 million contract. You were really, really thin at cornerback because you lost out on Paulson Adebo. Marshawn Lattimore is gone. You need corners to play the sport. And Isaac Yiadom is a proven veteran player who's been in New Orleans before, and he's making $3 million a year. Yes, he's a little older than I would want. I'm not petrified of this signing. Even if 2 years from now, he's 32 and he's not showing you he can play in training camp or something, like, I'm not going to rant and rave over a $3 million hit. This is fine. So I'm great with Chase Young, okay with Isaac Yiadom. You bring in Will Clapp on a 1-year deal, perfectly fine. Your offensive line is short a lineman at left guard. I don't know what you're going to do at that spot. Potentially Will Clapp can help you there. He's a veteran. He's a pro. Obviously I like Will Clapp because he went to LSU. That doesn't even matter. It's a 1-year deal, fine. You need offensive linemen. They get hurt. I'm all good with it. Justin Reed, 28 years old, 3 years, $31 million. I like it. I think it's a good deal. It's not overly expensive. He's a solid player. He's been with winning organizations. It means a lot for him to come home. He's a great locker room guy. It's not grossly expensive, and I don't think it's a hindrance in terms of your salary cap as you move into years 2 and years 3 of the deal. So I think for the short term, I don't really care how much better he is or isn't than Jordan Howden or Will Harris. That's not my concern in year 1. I'm more so looking a little bit further down the line. He's a solid NFL player, a guy you like to have in the locker room. He can take over for Tyrann Mathieu when Tyrann decides to hang it up, and it's not overly expensive. I'm fine with the Justin Reed signing. So if you're keeping score, love Chase Young, fine with Yadam, great with Clapp, good with Reed. The Juwan Johnson deal is the one I can't get behind. You signed a 28-year-old converted wide receiver into tight end to a 3-year, $30 million contract. Now, $10 million a year is not breaking the bank for a tight end. There are certainly a lot of tight ends in the NFL. In fact, there are 19 of them that'll make more than that this coming year. But Juwan Johnson's not super productive. He's not super versatile. He's a great dude. But 3-year deal? If you would have told me 1 year, $10 million, great. 2 years, 20, 3 years, 30, no. That's a miss. Too much money, too long-term a deal for a guy that's a very, very average player in the NFL. This is one that I look at and go, you overextended yourself. I realize your tight end room is a little bit in flux. Foster Moreau's in the last year of his deal. He's a very average player. Love Foster too, LSU guy, Jesuit guy, New Orleans, but let's call it what it is. He's an average player. Had some production at the end of the year. I mean, he's not bad. Not going to hurt your team, but he's an average player. And Taysom Hill's future is very much in doubt. He's not going to be available for a good portion of this year if he even decides to play at all. So you do need tight ends. And I just don't know that Juwan Johnson is a problem solver here. And it could be that in 2 years, he's a bit of a problem creator. Now, you can off-ramp it, and you got some dead money attached to it. I don't anticipate the Saints are going to do that. But this one, I didn't like. I like the shorter deals for this team because, in my estimation, you're still at least a year, probably 2 years away from a really good Saints team. And I don't want to saddle yourself with at a non-premium position, which tight end is, with a low-ceiling player, which Juwan Johnson is, to fork over that cash for a third year. I don't get it. I don't like that deal at all. So, again, I think that most people who have listened to me talk about the Saints would have expected me to rant and rave. Why are you giving guys long-term deals, short, concise deals, cheap, get money off the books, reset things a year from now? And that's how I do feel, but I understand the Saints aren't going to operate that way. So let's evaluate the things that they are doing. I don't have a problem with 4 of these 5 moves. In fact, I really like the Chase Young move. Juwan Johnson's the one where I go, you didn't need to do that. Like, I don't know what Dallin Holker is, and who knows if you re-up Morrow and maybe Taysom Hill comes back, and there is still some flux, but Juwan Johnson is not a good enough player to have committed the resources you have to him there. The big piece to this entire thing, when you start doing math with the salary cap, the biggest piece is when Derek Carr is finally no longer on these books, the whole math changes. Now, whether you sign a veteran quarterback like Carr, like Breeze, that you do have to commit a bunch of money to, or you make a draft pick that hits, either way, you're going to lessen the blow financially from what you paid Carr, theoretically. That's when the math really changes. None of these moves that I just listed through are significant movers on the cap, except Chase Young, who is at a premium position. He's in the prime of his career, and he was productive last year, so I'm fine with it. But the Saints right now have done more than I thought, probably more than I would like. They have not mortgaged their future in the way that they're capable of, let's be frank. They can do that. They haven't done that to this point. So we'll continue to evaluate what the Saints are doing. Justin Reed met with media today and had some interesting things to say. I'm sure Matt will have Ross Jackson on after further review a little bit later to talk about it. But right now, Saints get a B- on what they've done so far. It's not exactly what I would have done, but it's not like they've really hurt themselves to this point in free agency. All right, when we come back, I know that February is not the time to get deep into the weeds with SEC baseball. That's just it's still basketball season. There's football to talk about, the Super Bowl and whatnot. But right now we're getting into the meat of it, and I think LSU is going to contend for the SEC championship. And I think that the first weekend of league play is endlessly fascinating. We'll talk about some of the cooler things this weekend in SEC baseball when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Last night, Keller's first ever bath in the Palmer house. Going to be taking them for quite a few more years. We need to leave the bathtub right where it is. That's just the way that it is in our house. If you don't ever take a bath and or your bathtub is dingy, or it's got some rotting, or it's not functional, you just don't like it, get rid of it. Get rid of the bathtub. You've got room there for a gorgeous glass walk-in shower that changes the functionality of your bathroom and changes the aesthetic of your bathroom. Let David O and his team come in there and do a tub-to-shower conversion. It's something that they do more than anything else. And you can see pictures on the website of their fantastic work. Go to onebathandclosets.com, check it out, see the testimonials from their satisfied customers, get that free consultation today. Have David Duvall and his team come in. They can tell you what they can do for you. You give them a vision of what you see for yourself, and they can make it work for you. They'll do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. It's David Duvall and One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
So wrapping up hour number one, SEC baseball opens this weekend. Y'all are well aware LSU and Missouri will start at 4:30 over at the box. But this is something I talked about briefly with Joe Healy yesterday, but I really mean it. I can take or leave conference expansion and realignment. Like, I understand Stanford being the ACC is ridiculous. I understand that you're losing some natural geographic rivalries across the country. LSU not playing Auburn is a huge bummer to some people in football. Like, there are some issues with conference realignment. And we can take that discussion and have it full big scale if you wanted to. But if we're just going to talk about one little piece, I will tell you that adding Oklahoma and Texas A&M to the SEC and looking weekly at the, I guess it's 8 SEC series that we have every week. You are every single week going to have 5 or 6 series that you're like, whoa, that's awesome. And I realize there's some college baseball nerd in me that's coming out, and there's a sizable portion of you that do not give a rip about Texas going to Starkville this weekend. But like for the college baseball nerd in me, I'm going, that's incredible. To have Texas, one of the biggest brands in the sport, with that many national championships, going to what is really the best venue in college baseball right now in Starkville, like that's incredible to me. This week, you're going to see Florida and Liam Peterson, who's going to be South Carolina and Oklahoma test themselves with teams that we don't really know how good they are at this point. Alabama's had a great start to the season. They've got maybe the best player in the country in Justin LeBron. They're going to College Station to take on Texas A&M, who's trying to figure things out. Like these weekends are really, really fascinating to me. And I mentioned those. Tennessee hosting Florida, Alabama going to College Station, Texas in Starkville. And I haven't even mentioned one of the low-key, like, better rivalries in the SEC over the last 10 years has been Ole Miss and Arkansas. They played in a super a handful of years ago, and there's some animosity there between those two teams, and I'm excited to watch them. And I think to kind of highlight one thing, because this will be a storyline that I'll be paying attention to for 30 games here. Mike Bianco better win 13 league games this year. I think we can all agree that he really needs to win 13 league games. They win 17 and host, great. But, like, he needs to get into the NCAA tournament. Because if you do not get in for a third year in a row, that'll be the end of that. Sorry, second year in a row. They won the national championship 2 years ago. But if they fell on their face last year. They were bad the year before the national championship. They eked in the year of the national championship. So you've got basically right now a sample size that says you got hot for a month. And they're going to put a statue up, which they already have, Tim Elko, and you got the banner, and you got life memories, and you got all that, and it's great. But if we're trying to keep the job, you need to get off to a good start and have a good year. And they host Arkansas in Oxford this weekend. And then they go to Missouri next week. When you start to look at the math on this schedule for Ole Miss, they need to win 4 games the next 2 weekends. Lose 2 out of 3 to Arkansas, sweep Missouri, fine. Beat Arkansas 2 out of 3 in Oxford, beat Missouri 2 out of 3 on the road, fine. But you need to get to 4, because after these 2 weekends for Ole Miss, here's what you got. Florida is coming to Oxford. That's going to be tough. You got to go to Kentucky. It could be cold. That's a tough place to win games. Then Tennessee comes to Oxford. That could be an issue. And still to come, you got Vanderbilt, who you got to deal with. You got to go to Oklahoma. You got to go to Starkville. Like, they need to get off to a good start. Yes, it is to their benefit. They don't play LSU this year. They don't play Texas A&M this year. Like, there are some, they don't play Georgia. There are some positives there. They need to get off to a good start. That's fascinating. I mentioned tonight probably the best pitching matchup that we'll see in the SEC. Kyson Witherspoon is really good at Oklahoma. Cade Anderson can put himself in that discussion at LSU. Ryan Prager is very good over at Texas A&M. But Liam Peterson and Liam Doyle tonight in Knoxville is going to be freaking awesome. I cannot wait to see those two guys go at it. LSU's playing a little bit early, so that's good for my viewing pleasure. I'll watch LSU at 4:30, write my story for LouisianaSports.net, and then I'll see what goes on in Knoxville this weekend. But I'm curious to see. I think Tennessee's the best team in the league, and I've got Florida in my power rankings at number 2. I think the Gators are very good. They've got some power, and Tennessee's going to throw power arms at them. And in that ballpark, that can be pretty combustible. So, very much. Alabama is not great. A&M, I'll start to inch my hand closer to that panic button. Right now, my hand's behind my back. I don't think it's a big issue. Yep, they got off to a crummy start in non-conference. They still got a bunch of dudes on that team that have a track record that suggests they're going to hit, and they haven't yet. Jace Laviolette, very much in that number. Hayden Schott, very much in that number. Gavin Cash, very much in that number. Like, those guys have had big-time college seasons. They're hitting in the 240s, 250s right now. I think they're going to wake up. Is this the weekend where they wake up? Because guess what? Texas A&M shows up and sweeps Alabama this weekend. Everybody in College Station will be singing a different tune. I think that's very interesting. And I'm curious to see how Alabama's pitching responds to its first SEC test. I'm not over the moon with Riley Quick as a starter or Zane Adams as a starter, but we'll see. I'm a nerd about this stuff. I get it. And I'm probably more in the weeds than you are. But it's something you'll probably get from this show that you may not get elsewhere on a weekly basis. I'll be monitoring all weekend long, and we'll react to it coming up on Monday. That's it for hour number 1 here on this Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We're back after SportsCenter. Lots to do in hour number 2. Come back with us. Have a good Friday. It's Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, avssla.com is that website. It's patio season. It's grilling season. It's about to be pool season. If you like to spend some time in the outdoor area at your home, but don't necessarily have the music hook up, have the television hook up, whether it's just on the back porch like us, whether you've got a swimming pool, whether you've got a pool house or anything back there where you hang out, let Mitchell Fisher and their team come out and hang that television and get it set up. Let them wire it for music so that you can control the sound, whether it's the station or the volume, right there in your outdoor area from the touch of a button on your app. That's what Audio Video Security Solutions can do for you. This is Mitchell Fisher's cell phone number. I can't make it any easier for you. He's the owner of the company. 225-439-7920. It's 225-439-7920. Give him a call. Tell him the Hunt Palmer Show sent you, and start that process on your outdoor area today. It's Audio Video Security Solutions, online at avssla.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown right now on ESPN at the SEC quarterfinals. 3 minutes to go. Auburn leads Ole Miss 56-47. On ESPN2 in the American quarterfinals, Memphis leads Wichita State 69-61. With a left ankle sprain, it seems unlikely that ACC Player and Rookie of the Year Cooper Flagg will play for Duke tonight against North Carolina. But ESPN's Myron Metcalf says it'll be tough to convince Flagg to sit out.
What people got to understand about Cooper Flagg is, I know this is a 6'9" kid from Maine. He's one of the nastiest players I've ever come. Just in terms of his attitude. He doesn't want to be your friend. He doesn't like you if you're on the opposing team. And he wants to dunk on you. And he wants your parents to be in the crowd and watch it happen.
Myron Metcalf on Unsportsmanlike. The ACC semifinals tonight starting at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and TV. The Big 12 semifinals also 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. Our Jeremy Fowler reports the Chiefs will re-sign running back Kareem Hunt, a one-year deal worth up to $2.5 million.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Before you fill out your brackets, make sure you tune into the Tournament Challenge Marathon for all the info you need right here on Unsportsmanlike. Weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Got some football to talk about here over the final hour. We'll squeeze in some baseball as well, as LSU and Missouri will get started in about 2.5 hours from the box. 4:30 first pitch between the Tigers and the Tigers in the SEC opener. I want to react briefly before we get into football here, because Garrett Nussmeier met with the media. Briefly to the report that Cooper Flagg wants to play tonight. You heard in the Sports Center if you were just listening. What? Why? Is there anyone with any common sense? He ought to be seated on a couch with his foot in a bucket of ice for 3 days. What in the world does Duke need to go out there in the ACC tournament for and put their top draft pick at further risk with a significant ankle sprain? Like, what world does anyone think it's a good idea for him to go out there? Like, I get, like, I'm a competitor. I'm mean. I want to go out there and get mine. I'm going to dunk on you. I don't like North Carolina. I came to Duke to fulfill a promise and to play. And if I can get out there, I'm going to give it a go. No. You came to Duke trying to win the national championship. And playing against North Carolina on a bum ankle unequivocally hinders your ability to win a national championship. Absolutely ridiculous that it would even be considered that Cooper Flagg would go out there. Beck, am I completely off base here that that's ludicrous?
No, it is. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. We've talked before about when you have teams, it's more pronounced in baseball, but especially even in basketball, you'll see sometimes the higher seeded teams in conference tournaments not necessarily giving it their all because they know that their spot in the NCAA tournament is pretty much cemented. Duke has their spot in the tournament cemented as probably a 2 or maybe a 3 seed if they don't, maybe they lose their next game.
They're the number 1. They're the number 2 seed in the tournament.
Behind
Auburn.
So it doesn't really make sense to me at all why he would even consider.
I don't know who McNeese's best player is, but if he sprained his ankle the day before the final and wanted to go out there and play, I'd be like, yeah, you probably need to be out there.
Yes,
this is the biggest game that you're ever going to play in. So this is the least important game that Cooper Flagg has played in this year is going on today. So have a seat, Coop. That's my 2 cents on the issue. All right, let's talk some LSU football. Tigers have been out there for about a week in spring practice thus far. And finally, the players were able to be made available to the media today. Ahmad Bro spoke to the media a little bit. And Garrett Nussmeier, LSU starting quarterback, had an opportunity to sit down with the media and had a number of different topics he wanted to hit on. And the first was kind of what he wants to get out of this spring. It's his first as the incumbent starting quarterback at LSU.
Yeah, I think for me, it's not an individual thing, you know. As you said, it's about our team and our unit. I think it's my responsibility to do the best job I can as a leader, to push guys, to get guys in the right spots, to get guys going in the right places, and, you know, to also bring the level of intensity and juice that, you know, is expected from me as well, you know, as the starting quarterback of this team. And so it's really for me just consistency, showing up every single day and bringing that same level of energy and trying to bring guys along with me. And so I think that, you know, the guys have responded very well. I think there's been a lot of energy at practices, and it's been awesome to see. And, you know, the new guys have meshed very well with the guys that have been here for a while, and so it's been a really cool dynamic, and I'm excited to see it continue to work.
So I think that what he says there is true on a lot of levels. Like, this is less about his development, which is important, and he's got to throw less interceptions, and he's got to run a little bit more, and we understand how all that goes. But it's more so about the gelling of the unit. He's got some new receivers they're going to have to work in, and he's got an entire new group up front that he's going to have to work with. And I think that is the most important thing for Garrett Nussmeier as far as what he's trying to get. It's more so about the team. He's got plenty of arm. He's seen all the defensive coverages. Like, there's a lot that he's been exposed to at this point after a year of playing at that level. So, yeah, I think it's more so the team than anything else. Second piece here was, is this different than any other spring that you've been a part of?
This is my 5th spring, which is crazy to even think about, but it's different than any other spring I've ever been a part of. You know, there's a different vibe, there's a different intensity level. You know, you can ask anybody around here. You know, we picked up the intensity, and so there's more screaming, there's more crap talk, and there's more, you know, all of that, and so that's awesome to see. And you know, I'm really happy and proud of our guys and the way that they've attacked this spring.
Football players are funny to me because they're wired so differently than me. He's so excited about the amount of crap talking that's going on the field, and I look at that as like, who gives a dang? But that's why I'm not wired like that. It's and they very much are. And there's legendary stories of Joe Burrow getting into a fight with I think it was Patrick Queen, and so that's celebrated from a football perspective. That's what they're looking to do there. And so again, I remember Garrett Nussmeier's first spring. I remember his first fall camp. He was a jubilant young kid running all over the place, jumping up and slapping people on the helmet, going crazy. And he's mellowed from that perspective with what we've gotten to see over our time in watching practice. But it sounds like they've cranked the intensity up when we're not there. Because trust me, when we're there, you don't see a lot of what they're talking about here. Now, this is something that I'm very leery of. You're going to hear all the way until Labor Day about quarterbacks at LSU going into their second year as starters. Joe Burrow went nuts. Jaden Daniels went nuts. Garrett Nussmeier is going to go nuts. And I'm hesitant to proclaim someone the next Heisman winner. I just am. I think it's reasonable to suggest that Burrow improved and Daniels improved and Nussmeier can and should improve. Do I think he's going to have the third best season in the history of LSU football? That remains to be seen, and I'm not saying that's my expectation. But he was asked today, what about the jump that Burrow and Daniels make, and can you be in that ilk?
I think that, you know, that's not really my focus. I think that I'm worried about doing the best I can to help LSU win a national championship. And that's the mindset. That's the energy and intensity that I bring every single day. And it's not about me. It's not about the transition or the year 2. It's about LSU football and year 4 under Coach Kelly. What are we going to do? And, you know, we're not afraid to admit it. We've set the standard of where we expect to be, and we expect to play football in January next year.
When I hear Garrett Nussmeier talk, I think about all the guys who work in PR for these college football teams, who coach them up on how to speak to the media and what to say and what not to say, and what coaches would like their players to say. And I feel like Garrett Nussmeier hits it to a T, whether it's Tommy Karam at LSU or if it's what Nick Saban does or doesn't want his players to say. I feel like he just always toes the line, always says what he's supposed to say. So when I hear him say it's about winning a national championship, we expect to play football in January, those are like hot takes from Garrett Nussmeier. Because I've been in the interview room when they asked Garrett Nussmeier about him versus Jackson Dart in Tiger Stadium, and he immediately cuts and goes, no, it's LSU Ole Miss. Like, he professionally almost squashes those conversations, and he's embracing them. Now, I understand that spring is a little different than fall. I understand that he had some things to say about Kyle Field at the Manning Passing Academy last year, and I understand all that. But still, I've been around Garrett Nussmeier a lot, and I've heard him say very little. And so to hear that, it perked my ears up to hear him say something like that. Now, he's got to work with a wide receiver room that's still got Aaron Anderson in it and still got Chris Hilton and it still has Xavier Thomas in it, but Kyron Lacey no longer there, and you bring in some high-profile ads in Nick Anderson, Barian Brown, and Destin Hill. So what does he think about the wide receiver group in this spring?
It might not be very big, but it's very deep, at each position. We have a lot of talent, and we have a lot of players that can go get the football, and we got guys that will make plays with the ball in their hands. So we have a very dynamic room, I would say, and, it's a very competitive room. And they push each other. They understand the standard, and, that's what we expect here. It's wide receiver U for a reason.
I feel pretty good about LSU's wide receivers as well. We've had this discussion. We'll continue to have it. I'd like to see Nick Anderson do a little bit more with the first and second team. He's not out there when they go through the dry offense. However, I wrote this at LouisianaSports.net, and I'll add it here, that Anderson did go through the individual drills full speed and looked great today. So he's not in a red no-contact jersey. Just when they go first-team offense, they go with Aaron Anderson and Xavier Thomas and Chris Hilton. And then when they go to the second team, it's Barian Brown and Kyle Parker. And let's see if I can come up with the last one. Can't. It's not Nick Anderson. But either way, it would surprise me that he was not in the first 6 wide receivers that were out there, but he was going through the individuals full speed. So I think he's ready to go, and I think he is participating fully in spring ball. So I like LSU's wide receiver room. I think there are a lot of different skill sets. I like Nick Anderson is the big body potential one. I love Aaron Anderson's versatility and what he did last year. I think Xavier Thomas obviously has a role. They liked Kyle Parker early in the season last year before he got the triceps injury, and he's out there in a red no-contact jersey and going through full speed. Chris Hilton's the other piece to this puzzle, and we all know what his game is at this point, and we all know what the potential is because he's shown it to us, just hasn't been steady. And Nussmeier spoke about the senior speedster.
Chris is an unbelievable player. He has a special talent, special speed, and his ability to track the football is very, very high. And so, obviously, we have chemistry coming in the same class together, and we've been working with each other for 4 years. And whenever he is able to stay healthy, which, I have full confidence he will be, he's a pretty dang good football player, and so I'm very excited for him this year.
Man, he needs to stay healthy. This is so obvious, and I'm here to try to be a little bit more interesting and a little bit more informative than that. But, let's just be very frank about it. Like, if he's healthy, he changes the way you have to play defense. He just does. It's in such small sample sizes. We have seen him blow tops off defenses. Did it to Wisconsin. Did it to Kansas State in the freaking last play of the Texas Bowl. Did it to Oklahoma. Did it to Baylor. He's just never out there. And if he could just stay out there for 12 games, I think that helps the running game. If you just have one guy out there that no one on the defense can run with, if he can just stay healthy. It's such a huge question mark for this team, but I'm hopeful because I thought he looked good in August last year, and then it got taken away with that late camp injury. So last thing here, kind of veering away from LSU, but just a cool story that we want to kind of shine a light on when it's available, that Doug Nussmeier, now just 80 or so miles away from his son playing college football, is now Doug Nussmeier is the offensive coordinator of the Saints, and Garrett Nussmeier kind of spoke to his final year at college. Dad's just down the road.
Obviously, it's going to be really cool for, not just me and my dad, but my entire family, to have him that close. And, I tell people all the time, my whole life I've always been a Saints fan because, he played there and, he was always in college. So I was always able to root for the Saints. And since he's been in the NFL, I haven't really had the opportunity to. So now I can be a full Who Dad again, and so I'm excited for that. I think he's really excited to be back there, and it's great for our family, great for him. And so I'm so excited for him, and it's going to be really, really cool.
Talk about one to endear yourself to the people of Louisiana. Play quarterback for LSU and call yourself a full Houdat. That's a solid way to ingratiate yourself here into South Louisiana. Garrett Nussmeier calls South Louisiana home. Of course, his mom's family is from the Acadiana and 337 area. And that's just a cool little storyline that certainly everyone's familiar with, but I think that it's cool to hear Garrett's perspective on it. And hopefully Garrett can get over to New Orleans for a Saints game or two, and hopefully Doug can get up the road for some LSU home games as well, just for a selfish family perspective for those guys. I realize they got work to do on the weekends for sure, but they can get over and see each other in action because they're so close. I think that's a really, really cool thing that just very, very few people have the opportunity to experience something at that level at this point in their lives. That's a very, very cool thing. So that's Garrett Nussmeier speaking to the media earlier today. Let's revisit LSU baseball on Tigers in Missouri. We'll talk about that when we come back. Still got some more thoughts of what I saw at practice earlier today. So we'll do all that in hour number 2 of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wildin'.
When you can't rely on technology, you can rely on Mountain Cold Refreshment.
Things back on.
Coors Light. Choose chill.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
So I've got some good news and some bad news for all of you Ole Miss Rebel fans that are not watching your team play and are listening to the Hunt Palmer Show right this second. So I got to imagine just tens of thousands of you that are locked in. The bad news is the Rebels cannot stop Janai Broome, who is dominating them on the block. And
not many people can.
Going to send Auburn to the semifinals. Ole Miss's SEC tournament run will be over. They'll wait there. Their NCAA tournament fate coming up on Sunday.
You mean as in they may not make the tournament?
No, they will make their.
Okay, well, you said their
fate. Yeah, their fate could be a 2 seed. There could be.
Okay.
I mean, not a 2 seed. They could be. I haven't looked at that, but I would imagine Ole Miss is somewhere in the neighborhood of a 4.
Yeah, I would assume probably
4 to 6,
4 or 5,
like that.
maybe. Yeah.
So they'll wait that on Sunday. The good news for all you Ole Miss fans who are not watching Ole Miss and are listening to the Hunt Palmer Show is that the first pitch that Hayden Federico saw from new Friday night starter Zach Root of Arkansas got hit over the wall. So it's 1-0 Rebels in
West
Oxford.
Monroe alum.
Is that right?
Yeah, Hayden Federico.
I did not know that.
Freshman.
I did not know that.
Good player.
Yeah, well,
He played quarterback for them as well.
Things got a little chippy. Federico in a game last weekend, he hit a homer and bat flipped, and somebody didn't like that, and they got into a little bit of a brawl. And then Federico, who apparently is a coach's kid, apologized profusely for bat flipping, and all the Ole Miss media kind of laughed at him for doing that. But yeah, 1-0 Rebs in game one of that all-important SEC opening slate up there in Oxford. I want to talk LSU pitching as you get into this weekend against Missouri. And hopefully, LSU doesn't have to make a lot of really, really difficult decisions this weekend. If LSU comes out and plays their brand of baseball, you should take care of Missouri. But you never know. So I put LSU pitching, as far as the entire weekend goes, into 4 buckets. I've got the starters, I've got the long relievers, I've got what I'm terming as the firemen that are going to potentially come in dirty innings to get out of a jam. Then I've got lefties, and then I've got the closer. Those are my 5 buckets that I've created here. Of course, you know the starters are Cade Anderson, Anthony Ianson, and Chase Shores. Briefly on those. I feel like Anderson has really done a nice job in the pre-conference. But none of that means a ton until you get to this portion of the schedule. And if we're looking for a slow ramp-up, as I talked about in the first hour, like this is as slow a ramp-up as you can get to league play. Like, they're not sending you to play Tennessee in Lindsey Nelson this weekend. You're not going to College Station. You're not going to Gainesville. You're at home. Sorry, sneeze, just can't fight it off. Just such an awful feeling when it's right there, and I've got the cough button ready, and it's just awful situation. But I think we've hit it. Okay, you're at home against Missouri. That's as easy as they can hand you. I feel good about Anderson this weekend. Hopefully, the goal here is he really needs to get through 6 innings. I'd love it if he got through 7. Then you got Ianson. Which Ianson are we going to see? The guy who has dominated the end of his last 2 starts, or the guy who's gotten off to bumpy starts to beginning? Let's see. And then you got Chase Shores, who should give LSU a decided advantage in Game 3, although you can make the case that Missouri's Game 3 starter is their best arm. That's Caden Drew, who is his ERA is the lowest of the 3 starters at 3.43. But I feel like Shores should do his thing on Game 3. I feel good about LSU's rotation this weekend. I would have more trepidation if you were going to College Station or Knoxville, as I just said, but I feel pretty good about them this weekend. So what does the bullpen look like? And I feel like I've got these 4 buckets here. If you need length, if one of your starters gets knocked around a little bit in the 4th, I think Zach Cowan's first. I think William Schmidt is option B. Those are the 2 guys I think that you would go to and say, hey, we really need 6 outs here. We really need 7 outs here. I think those are your 2 long guys. I think if you've got an issue in the 6 where you've got the bases loaded and 1 out, I think that is Connor Binge. I think that is very much Binge first, Rizzy second. Rizzy's command has been a bit of an issue. So putting him into like a bases loaded situation may not be the best time, but Binge, I think, is wired for that. Now, I realize Binge gave up the 3-run homer against Omaha. That's that's the game you lost. But he's the fireman, I think, on this team right now. So those 2 guys, I think, are ready to come into a dirty inning, try to get a strikeout. Both throw 95 plus, both have good sliders. I think you're looking at firemen there. Then you've got your left-handers. And if you need to get a tricky lefty out, or you feel like you need to hold a base runner maybe, because Missouri does run a lot, I think that's DJ Primo and Connor Ware. They're your 2 left-handed options. I don't feel quite as good about those guys the way that I do about Zach Cowan, the way I do about Kason Evans, but they are left-handed. They're your option. They're out of the bullpen. And then you've got your closer, which I firmly believe is Kason Evans. I think that Jay Johnson will not blink once if LSU goes to the 9th this afternoon, this evening, with a 1-run lead on Missouri. I think Kason Evans is getting the baseball. So those are your buckets. You got your starters. Curious to see what those guys can do in this weekend. More curious to see as you move forward. You go to Austin, Texas. What does that look like? Okay, I mean, that's the 2 weeks that follow will be, I think, more interesting, but you get a start here. And then you got to start pushing buttons if you're Jay Johnson and Nate Yeske. Cowan and Schmidt for length. Benj and Rizzi to get out of jams. Primo and Ware if you need a lefty. And Case and Evans as your closer. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 10 arms. Most teams, when they get to June, don't have 10 to go to. Most teams that are good, I'm not talking about the 4 seed in the Tallahassee regional. Most teams with championship and Omaha aspirations settle around 6. I mean, we can go back to 2023 LSU and look at how many arms LSU truly trusted when they got to the end of the line in Omaha. How many guys, if you put in the game, you really felt like you could really trust them to do the job. And certainly you would go to Skeens and Floyd at the top, and those guys you could absolutely trust. At that point, you trusted Ackenhausen, that's 3. Guidry was 4. Cooper was 5. And then you start to get into a little bit more difficult territory because you've got Herring, who was not the Griffin Herring we know at this point. And then you got Thatcher Hurd. You got Javen Coleman. You're starting to teeter there. It was closer to 6. If we're really being honest, and I realize, they started Javen Coleman in a game in Omaha, but Skeens, Floyd, Cooper, Ackenhausen, Guidry, Hurd, Herring. That's the end of the line. That's 7. When you got to the end, there was 7. I can't put in good conscience Christian Little in that mix, or Javen Coleman in that mix, or Sam Dutton in that mix, or Will Helmers. And Will Helmers wasn't even active. Bryce Collins. Like, I can't get there. So it's like 6 or 7. I've listed 10. This is, I think, a potential to be a strength of this LSU team is the numbers. Anderson may not be to Aaron Nola, Alex Lang levels, and he's not going to be Skeens. But if he's really good, that's a start. And if Shores and Ianson can hold their spots, and you can actually have a weekend rotation, which LSU doesn't always have a weekend rotation. They haven't the last 2 years. They haven't the last 3 years. And then you can have guys in the bullpen with defined roles that you can count on. That becomes a benefit to you. If you'll remember last year, and we previewed the Chapel Hill Regional, like North Carolina had more guys that they felt like they could count on. And that ended up being a big benefit for them. LSU had to go back to their Friday starter at the end of the game on Monday. North Carolina didn't have to do that. So I'm hopeful that the depth becomes a big key to this LSU baseball team on the mound. We'll see if LSU needs to use it in this weekend against Missouri. I sincerely hope not. I hope 2 of these games get completely out of hand and you're able to pitch down the line and you can save your best guys for the one game that's close and you get out of there with a sweep. That's certainly my hope at this point. But that remains to be seen. As I've said many times over the course of this hour and a half that I've been on, and this week, and on other radio spots that I've done this week, I'm not going to shy away from the fact that Missouri's very bad, comparatively speaking, with the rest of the SEC. But so is Omaha, and LSU didn't sweep that weekend either. So you got to go play your game, and LSU will start that process 2 hours from right now. 4:30 first pitch from over at the box. You want to listen to that game, you can do it on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. A pregame show will crank up at 4 o'clock from the box. It'll be Chris Blair and Doug Thompson on the call, and they'll be with you over there on Eagle in Baton Rouge. All right, let's step aside. LSU football on the Ponderosa earlier this morning. I've got some thoughts on what I saw this morning. We'll do that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Every single vehicle in the line. IIHA top safety pick. Some of them top safety pick plus. Safety is really important when you're in the market for a vehicle. And I can promise you're going to get that with a Genesis. You can get behind the wheel, feel how comfortable the seats are, how smooth the drive is, how sleek that design is. You'll get a tutorial on all those bells and whistles from their brand ambassadors who will go on the test drive with you. But I can promise you that safety is something they take very, very seriously at Genesis as well. You may never have been behind the wheel of, you've never been in a Genesis potentially. That's not surprising. It's new to the game. But go see them, Airline at Pico. If you're getting a new car in Baton Rouge, you're probably on Airline anyway. Go see them across from Women's Hospital. Get behind the wheel, see that Genesis difference. When I say Genesis, think luxury. When you think luxury, don't think, I can't afford that. Just give them a shot. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Every car that is on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Ole Miss leads Arkansas. Game 1 of that 3-game set in Oxford. 2-0 Rebs as they play in the 3rd inning. Tennessee and Texas about to get started in the SEC basketball tournament up in Nashville. That is probably too much orange for my liking in there. I'm certain there's some blue in there too because Kentucky just brings folks into that building. But that's a lot of Rick Barnes orange with Tennessee and Texas doing battle up there at Bridgestone. That may, although here's the deal. If you gave me a $200 one of those like prepaid credit cards and let me sit in that Bridgestone Arena today for those 4 games, like I would be a happy dude. Like that is some. I mean, I haven't even. Let me see the exact matchups that are going on. So you had Ole Miss Auburn, you got Tennessee against Texas. You've got Alabama playing Kentucky, I think, tonight. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
Let me it's all right here. We can pull it up. I want to see exactly what the 4 matchups are. So the morning game was Auburn-Ole Miss. It was a 5-point game. Then you've got Tennessee-Texas. Then you've got Missouri and Florida, high-level game. And then you got Kentucky-Alabama. I would sit in there all day. Now, the concession prices
that's going to be a problem.
Bankrupt.
The beers are not going to be flowing.
I mean, $18 brewskis, 4 games, that's 8 hours. You're talking about a significant chunk of change, which is why I need the prepaid card. But if we could get that done, and I can't imagine that the chicken tender basket's less than $18 anyway. Yeah. So, like, I got to eat something, too, for 4 games. So it's going to be a little expensive as far as the concessions go. But just watching the hoops, that would be a treat. And that is, again, for the 438th time, what bums me out about this LSU basketball season is that you had 14 teams that got in the mix here and had an enjoyable basketball season. They're going to be in the dance, and there are 2 that aren't, and LSU is one of those. That's disappointing. But today at Bridgestone up in Nashville, going to be quite a day, and it's off to a really good start already as Auburn and Ole Miss played a good one, if a low-scoring one, up there in Nashville. Tennessee and Texas going to get started in about 8 minutes from right now. All right, let's talk some LSU football. I was out there at practice today, and once again, I feel the need to offer this disclaimer every time we start to talk about it because it's not like earth-shattering information we're getting. We're out there for 25 minutes. They've got us up on a second-floor balcony, and really most of the action is 70 to 80 yards away from us. And so 1, that's hard to pick up on. And 2, and I noticed this more so today, there are so many players out there that have their practice jersey rolled up under their shoulder pads, so you can't even see their number from 70 yards away. So, I can't even tell who the first linebacker group was that was going through Blake Baker's drill because 3 of them have their shoulder pads with their shirts tucked under them, and I can't see the number, and I'm 80 yards away. So, I can't relay that information very well. So what I've tried to do for LouisianaSports.net and this show is to glean what I can definitely glean. And today, one of the things that I did was there were some true freshmen that were very close to our balcony. They were very close in the drills they were doing, and I just kind of gave it an eye test as to what they look like. And the guys that stood out to me for different reasons were, 1, you look at the edge rushers. And you see Jamari Butler, who's a 4th-year player. And you see Jack Pyburn, who's a 4th-year player. And you see Patrick Payton, who's a 5th-year player. You see Gabe Relaford, who's a 2nd-year player. And you look at all those guys, and they absolutely look like a really good-looking unit. And then you look at Damian Shanklin, who's a true freshman in that group, and he looks exactly like those guys. Over my 15 years of going to LSU football practice, I've seen a lot of freshmen who you walked out there and you go, that's a freshman. Shanklin's not one of those. He is 6'5", he's 260 pounds. He's the same size as Jabari Butler. He's the same size as Jack Pyburn. Now, Patrick Payton is taller and leaner than all of them. He's like 6'6" and 245 pounds, and he's got the long levers and the bendy edge rusher guy, and he's a different body type from them. I don't know if Damian Shanklin can play dead in the Western. I have no idea. I know physically he looks like the seniors. So if he does have the technical savvy to get in there, like the weight will not hold him back. The body will not hold him back. He was a big-time recruit in this class. He's an early enrollee. He's got, right now, 5 months to get ready to play in his first season. They don't have to rush him to the field. They've got older players that have proven themselves at this level that can go out there and play. And maybe they do, and you don't see Shanklin all year. I don't know. But it's not a body issue. He's ready to go from a physical standpoint. Now, at corner, if you go over there, you'll see DJ Pickett. He looks like a freshman. Now, DJ Pickett is 6'4", and most of the guys who are out there, whether it's Mansour Delane or Ashton Stamps, those guys are like 5'11", 6 feet, 6'1". He's clearly got the biggest frame that he would have to fill out. But he looks skinny. And any weight that LSU can put on him would be good. Now, I always use this example. And I think it's important because I'm not trying to tell you I know everything. I don't. Trust me. I watched Rashard Robinson go through fall practice and went, he can't play for 2 years. He was out there as a true freshman, playing against some of the most physical wide receivers in the SEC, including Julio Jones. Was that Julio Jones? Yeah. No. I can't. No, Mike Evans. Sorry. I'd go a couple years further. Mike Evans. You see the guy? He's a pretty physical dude. And Rashard Robinson played him straight up. So just because you're thin doesn't mean you can't be physical, doesn't mean you can't go out there and play. But DJ Pickett, it would be great, I think, if he could put on 10 pounds between now and Labor Day. He looks skinny. That's okay. I'm not trying to say DJ Pickett's a bust, shouldn't have been a 5-star, bad, none of that. This is simply an eye test. On the second day we've been able to observe spring ball, I can look at DJ Pickett and go, he's thin. And then I looked at the offensive line who were right next to us, right below us. And Carius Kern is working out as a second-team left tackle. He's behind Tyree Adams at left tackle. And Carius Kern is a big boy. He is 6'4", 330 pounds. And one of the things that I have really stuck to in my analysis of LSU's recruiting classes and their offensive line is when Brian Kelly said in his first press conference, there's a model of offensive lineman we recruit to, and we stick to that. And it's very evident from his time at Notre Dame and early on at LSU, they recruit long, lean offensive linemen that can move. They put weight on them, and they become great players. That's how he has recruited on the offensive line at Notre Dame and at LSU. And Kern doesn't fit that mold because Carius Kern is already nearly 340 pounds. The guys like Paul Mabinga and DJ Chester and even Tyree Adams and some of these guys they've brought in, those guys were closer to 300 pounds when they got to LSU. In some cases, under 300 pounds. Fractionally, but under. Kern's 330. And he looks big out there at tackle. It doesn't look like the prototypical tackle body. But by all accounts, they really like what they've seen from him early on in his time at LSU. And you've seen the highlight reel tapes of him doing backflips in high school, and he's the top interior offensive lineman in the country according to On3, and he comes with a heck of a pedigree. And I was fascinated to see him working at left tackle, but it feels like Carius Kern, if there's a freshman that feels like he's making waves early, and it's real early, Kern feels like he's headed that direction. So those are three guys that I was able to get eyes on today, fairly close proximity, and give you just a thought on how they look compared to their peers out on the field. Damian Shanklin already fits in. DJ Pickett, although he's taller than all those guys, still thin. Carius Kern, built like a brick. Last piece of info from practice today is the return men that we saw. LSU was working on special teams right when we got out there, and they put Xavier Thomas and Berrien Brown and Aaron Anderson out there at return men. And I looked at that and I went, man, there was about a 3-year run there where LSU just quit trying to return the football, just completely quit. They were fair catching everything, had big running backs back at kickoff returner, walk-ons back there catching punts. Like, just they had quit. And I'm now looking at this punt return group going, that is the most dynamic group of punt returners anywhere in the country right now. Because Xavier Thomas has been a touchdown threat for 3 years in the SEC at 2 stops. Aaron Anderson ran a kickoff back for a touchdown against Oklahoma this year. And then you got Barry Brown, who's the SEC record holder. And we'll see what that group's like as a wide receiver tandem this year. But it's inarguable when you look at their return abilities, both in the kickoff game and the punt return game, that that's as good as it gets in college football. And that's an exciting thing because that can change games. You look at 3 different games in the 2011 season that we love so dearly around here. Tyron returns a punt against Arkansas, changed the whole game. Tyron returns 2 punts against Georgia, changes the whole game. And then you go back before that to West Virginia, where Geno Smith and Tavon Austin and that group drew within a score, and Mo Claiborne ran the kickoff back. Like, it can be a big, big deal in big, big games. And it's not something we talk about a lot, but I like it. LSU's got some real dudes back there who can do some kick returning and punt returning. If you're looking for LSU football content all spring long into the summer, Hunt on LSU is where you need to be. If you want to preemptively subscribe to the channel before football season, you can do that as well. All of our football content right there at Hunt on LSU. Take one more time out. We will come back and close it out for the week. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Hey. Parrish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parrishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parrishbuilt.com.
When you can't rely on technology, you can rely on Mountain Cold Refreshment. Dave's back on. Coors Light. Choose chill.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Join us at the Louisiana Outdoor Expo at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center from March 14th to the 16th this weekend. Head over to the front or back booth and register for your chance to win a U10 new canoe, a compact, versatile kayak perfect for fishing and hunting adventures. Visit 1045ESPN.com for details, and also registration for the VEX European Bracket Challenge is now open. You can start registering at 1045ESPN.com, and then be sure to check back and get your picks in after the first games are announced on Selection Sunday. The person with the most accurate picks this year will win $1,000 in cash.
Forgive my my chuckle here.
I didn't see it.
No, I have no idea what you just read. I was reading an email that I just got as an order confirmation.
Don't tell me you ordered something off Instagram again.
I did not. My wife ordered an Easter basket for Keller.
What?
This boy is 5 days old.
Hi, that's unacceptable. That's completely
Got
ridiculous.
The order confirmation. I'm sure he's going to be thrilled when the Easter bunny comes.
I mean,
Kid can't stay awake for 8 minutes, but we got an Easter basket coming for him.
That's a bit much.
This is what you have to look forward to.
No, that's not happening. I will not allow that.
How are you going to not allow that? You're going to be at work and she's just going to not order the Easter basket?
I'm going to tell her you have to return it. It's not happening.
Do you know what these women will do when they're on maternity leave and they're just sitting on the couch and the baby's asleep all day?
I'm
and
aware.
You're at work?
I'm aware.
The internet is endless. There's endless amounts of dollars you can spend on the internet. Easter basket.
Yeah.
5 days old.
Or fake shirts on Instagram.
Look.
Hunt, don't ever order something off Instagram again, please.
The airline, which we can now shout out, American did refund my check-in.
There you go.
I checked the bag and they refunded it. No
Good
word
stuff.
yet from the fake shirt company.
Also, Southwest, man, they're getting rid of the check bags. It's doesn't seem like the smartest thing on their part to me.
Yeah, I don't fly ever. I just never.
I don't really either that much, but
I'm hopeful that I'm flying in June. That would mean LSU did well.
That would be good.
It needs to start today. It needs to start in an hour and a half, quite frankly. Do we have any take it or leave it?
Yeah.
5-day-old
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Yeah, how about that? Easter baskets for the 2-month-old. Take it or leave it.
Take it. Got to.
Really?
Spoil your kids, Beck. It's very important.
I'm going to leave it.
Leave it alone.
Whose segment is this?
I'm the one who reads the question, so
you take
know
control
what?
of this segment.
I'm
You take
taking
control of the expenditures in your house. I got
Yes,
it.
absolutely.
We'll see how that goes. I look forward to laughing right in your face.
You probably
a lot.
will. Almost certainly will. All right, first one here. 17 at Sawgrass is the best par 3 in the world. Take it or leave it.
Gotta leave that for sure.
Leave it alone.
I would go. I think based on design, it's 12 at Augusta. Just the way that a cut falls short and the draw goes long and that whole thing. As far as aesthetics, I think it's 16 at Cypress. I think those are probably the two that come to mind most quickly. 7 at Pebble gets a lot of love, but I think that the two I just mentioned are probably above it to me.
All right, next one here. $800 to get a tee time at Sawgrass. Take it or leave it.
I mean, I'm going to leave it. I'd rather
Leave
just
it
have
alone.
it for free. But if that's what it's going to cost,
I
I
wouldn't mind paying $100, maybe $200, but $800.
I'm going to get to the ones that just require a checkbook. Like St. Andrews just requires a checkbook. Sawgrass just requires a checkbook. Pinehurst just requires a checkbook. Like there are some around Kapalua in Hawaii. Like I'm going to get to some of these because they're just available. It's the ones that you have to get invited to that are the sweetest you got to get to, and I don't get to very many of those.
Yeah, you got the Cypress on. You're one of the very select few that's ever played.
Have I told you my Cypress story with the caddy told me on 18?
Yeah, you have. Yeah.
That guy.
Next
time you come back in August. I'm not coming back. This is it. This is it for me. I'm a radio guy in Baton Rouge. I don't play Cypress 5 times. I play it once. That's it.
All right, last one here real quick. Reports are emerging that power couple Carson Beck and Hannah Cavender are split after Cavender wiped Beck's pictures off of her Instagram account. Trouble in the 305. Take it or leave it.
Got to take it. That's tough. I don't know what the Lamborghini couple on South Beach is going to do. How will they ever find anyone else to date on South Beach?
I don't know.
It's going to be really tough. There's nowhere to get together with anybody down there. There's nobody attractive down there. I think they'll get it. Did he go to Miami just because of her? I mean, I'm sure he got some life.
That's not. He said that isn't the case, but who knows?
All right, that's it for us. Hopefully LSU sweeps this weekend. I'll do it. I'll call a sweep. Matt's going to drive you home next, and after further review, we'll see you Monday. Another edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.